The Flame in the Flood has a pretty linear storyline in the way that a river, like the one featured heavily in the game, is also linear. You start at point A and then you hang on for dear life until you get to the end. Except The Flame in the Flood doesn't really have a storyline. The game, like the river, twists and bends and rushes over rapids and slows down in beautiful moments of calm before being rocked by the kind of storm that turns day into night. But nothing ever really happens. And that's okay. You, playing as a young lady named Scout, accompanied by her dog Aesop, just need to survive. First one day, and then the night, and then the next, and then the next, as you make your way downstream in this beautifully rendered post-societal America. Along the way, you'll forage for supplies, food and resources. You'll learn basic medicinal skills, learn how to maintain and upgrade a raft, and take care of the vicious wildlife before it takes care of you. The developers describe this one as a rogue-lite. That's like a rogue-like, but somewhat more forgiving. Like a rogue-like, the world is procedurally generated. There are similar types of docks, campsites, churches, bait shops, and the general look of the place changes as you progress down the river, but none are exactly the same. Also, like a rogue-like, if Scout dies, and she will, she'll lose everything she's carrying, and you'll start from the beginning. Unlike a rogue-like, however, if Scout dies, items in Aesop the dog's possession will persist and will be there when you restart the game. There is also an end in sight, literally the end of the river, rather than an unending series of islands, unless you want to play in endless mode, in which case that's exactly what you'll get. From chatting to a few people, I've learned that The Flame in the Flood is a bit of a polarising experience. People who love it almost for the same reasons that other people hate it. It can be slow, methodical, and almost monotonous. And it's kind of tricky because it's all about resource management, and even though there aren't many resources to manage, there's even fewer places to keep them all with a remarkably restricted storage system. Even though I'm very firmly in the love it camp, I'm going to quickly address one point that people didn't like about the game, with good reason. The Flame in the Flood has officially been released on Steam, but there are still more than a few bugs lurking around, which are mainly cosmetic, but which did see Scout attempting to float away with her raft stuck on top of an island. The game-breaking, save-game corrupting crash bugs have been mostly squished though, and the development team is constantly working on fixing issues as they pop up. And on the topic of the raft, even when it's not stuck on top of an island, it's not the easiest thing to control. That's kind of the point. A few bits of lumber and some floating barrels is never going to be simple to steer through a bunch of rapids, but it does get better as Scout is able to upgrade what is effectively the third character in the game. Yep, third character. Scout, Aesop, and the raft. Pretty much all you'll get in The Flame in the Flood. We're not sure where everybody else has gone, except perhaps to higher ground, but you may only come across one or two other faces in your drift downstream. Talk to them and they'll give you things, but their existence only seems to make the rest of the game a little lonelier. There's also one other element that needs to be addressed about this particular game. I picked up The Flame in the Flood because I was intrigued by the concept. I loved the art style and I was looking for something a bit different. That said, there are plenty of people who picked it up because of the development team. While this is the first game for the Molasses Flood as a whole, the team boasts a colourful history of game development. That art style? It comes from the former art director from BioShock. He's joined by other former Irrational developers, as well as people who have worked on Halo and both Guitar Hero and Rock Band, but this game is so much more than just the sum of its parts. It might take you a few tries to get the hang of things, to figure out what's important and what Scout is capable of, but if you persevere, The Flame in the Flood is immersive and rewarding, and has left me with a nagging desire to pack everything up and go camp by a river somewhere. Hopefully without the water.